Alec was a 34-year-old male who worked as a mechanic at a local garage. He believed he had a decent, stable life, residing in a rented house in an okay neighborhood with his wife Celeste. They had been together since college, sharing routines and plans for the future. This stability violently collapsed 2 years ago. Alec came home early to surprise Celeste for their anniversary, only to find her having sex with their neighbor in their bed. The surprise was on me. Alec vividly remembered the look on Celeste's face when she saw him. Not even embarrassment, just annoyance that I'd interrupted. He knew then that their 6-year marriage was dead long before I opened that bedroom door. The weeks following were consumed by arguments, Celeste's fake apologies, and Alec temporarily sleeping on his friend Ethan's couch. Celeste claimed the infidelity was a mistake they could overcome. However, Alec found texts proving she had been cheating for pretty much our entire marriage. The subsequent divorce was nasty as hell. Celeste hired a lawyer, a shark in a suit, who treated Alec like I was dirt, attempting to seize everything, including the car Alec owned before their marriage. Alec could barely afford his own lawyer, who seemed primarily interested in his lunch break. The betrayal that inflicted the deepest wound came not from Celeste, but from his own sister Willow, a 29-year-old single mother of 2 children. Alec had always supported Willow during tough times, buying school supplies for his niece and nephew, performing car repairs countless times, and covering her rent on 2 occasions. Willow repaid his generosity by completely siding with Jessica, Celeste. Her motives were transactional. Celeste was buying her new clothes, taking her to fancy restaurants, and even babysitting. Crucially, Celeste promised to connect Willow with a supposed wealthy friend of the man Celeste was cheating with, a sugar daddy. Willow was literally trading her loyalty for the chance at a sugar daddy. When Alec confronted Willow about maintaining the friendship with Celeste, Willow retorted, "You probably drove her to cheat anyway." She added, "Men never understand what women need." Alec recognized this as the moment he was truly on my own. He hung up, blocked her number, and decided he would rebuild his life, no matter the cost. Alec gathered his few remaining possessions and moved into the cheapest apartment available. It was a minuscule space, basically a shoebox with a bathroom attached, so small that he could cook dinner, watch TV, and use the toilet without getting up from your bed. The apartment reeked of the previous tenant's cats. He recalled sitting on the lumpy mattress that first night, realizing that just 6 months prior, he had been married and relatively happy, and now he was in this condition, while his sister was Team Celeste all the way. To add to his misery, Celeste and Willow were suddenly BFFs, posting selfies on Instagram from expensive restaurants and vacations Alec and Celeste could never afford. Their captions spoke of living your best life and toxic people, which was clearly directed at Alec. He even saw posts from a weekend trip to the beach that he and Celeste had always planned but lacked the funds for. His parents offered no solace. They continuously told him to try to work things out with Jessica because marriage is about compromise. When he recounted catching Celeste in bed, his mother minimized the betrayal, saying, "Well, relationships are complicated, honey." Alec felt that this minimization hurt the most. Everyone treated him like I was overreacting or the unreasonable one for not wanting to stay with someone who had lied to him for years. The definitive breaking point came when Alec ran into Willow at the grocery store a month after moving. Alec was purchasing only ramen and cheap coffee, while Willow was stocking up on expensive snacks she couldn't afford previously. Willow immediately mocked his appearance and his cart. She then described Celeste's current happiness and how generous Bryce, the neighbor, was, taking them all out to a fancy restaurant. Willow leaned in, claiming to share a big secret. "Celeste told me everything about why your marriage failed. You really should have paid more attention to her needs." Alec stared, realizing his sister, whom he had helped raise, was confirming he deserved to be cheated on. Willow twisted the knife further, offering with a smirk that Bryce might have a friend you'd like, someone who could afford better groceries than this, gesturing at Alec's cart. Alec simply left the groceries where they lay and walked out, without saying a word. That night, humiliation turned into absolute resolve. Alec was done with self-pity and done letting Celeste and Willow make him feel like I was the problem. He vowed to rebuild his life from scratch, doing it so well that they'd choke on their words. His immediate goal was to work my ass off until I could afford a place of my own. Alec's daily routine became punishing. He woke up at 5 a.m. for the crappy gym in his building, arriving at the garage by 6:30 a.m. He worked non-stop until 6 o'clock or 7 p.m., and sometimes later due to emergency repairs. After grabbing cheap takeout, he would return home to study until he collapsed. On weekends, he performed cash-paying side jobs, oil changes, brake pad swaps, alternator replacements, basic work done in parking lots with minimal tools. He noted this was not exactly legal, but it paid and I needed every dollar. The manager, Harold, noticed his extreme effort. Harold, referred to as Rick in Source, began delegating tasks to Alec, including ordering parts, dealing with customers, scheduling and hiring. Within 6 months, Alec was basically running the place while Harold supervised, meaning he played solitaire in the back office. Harold eventually asked what was driving him. Alec only replied, "Trying to buy a house." Harold gave him simple, non-judgmental validation, calling it a good goal and a smart move. This simple validation meant more to Alec because it countered his family's condemnation. The constant activity prevented Alec from dwelling on how much my life sucked. He admitted he still had bad days, seeing posts from Celeste or Willow and feeling the urge to throw his phone, but those days grew fewer and farther between. The online accounting classes were difficult. Alec struggled to learn the principles after long shifts fixing cars, failing the first practice exam so badly that his online tutor called to check on him. However, he persisted, studying during lunch breaks and drilling himself with flashcards. As Alec began to grasp the principles, he identified inefficiencies in Harold's business, which was still managed old school with paper invoices and pricing based on gut feeling. Alec created a detailed spreadsheet analyzing the previous 6 months of business, showing profit margins, repeat customers, and supplier savings. Harold looked at the data, like I just performed magic. When Alec explained he learned it from night classes, Harold offered him a deal. "You know, I've been thinking about selling this place when I retire. You interested in buying me out someday?" Alec was stunned, admitting he lacked the money. Harold suggested they work something out with a payment plan, stating he would rather sell to someone who gives a damn than a corporation. Alec added owning the garage to his list of goals that night. About a year into Alec's effort, business at Harold's Motorworks was up 30%. Alec was saving every penny and his social life was non-existent. Whispers began circulating that things were deteriorating for Celeste and Willow. Bryce, the cheating partner, moved on to someone else barely 2 months after the divorce. The rich sugar daddy promised to Willow turned out to be a broke man, pretending to be rich to get into clubs, who even tried to make Willow pay for dinner. Celeste had blown through most of her divorce money, trying to impress Bryce, and Willow, who had quit her steady job at the insurance office, was now struggling to find work. Alec heard this through Ethan Mike. While Alec offered no reaction externally, internally, it felt good to know karma was finally showing up. Harold, impressed, offered to accelerate the buyout process. Harold told him, "You're running it anyway. Might as well own it." They structured a payment plan that was achievable, and coupled with his savings, Alec finally had enough for a down payment on a modest house in a decent neighborhood. The day he signed the house papers, Willow texted him from a new number, claiming she wanted to reconnect because family should stick together. Alec ignored it, focused on moving. Shortly thereafter, Harold approached Alec with unexpected news. His wife's arthritis was worsening, and they were considering moving to Arizona, southern coast, for a warmer climate. Harold suggested accelerating the ownership plan from 5 years to 2 years, so Alec could take over as owner by the end of the year. Alec expressed concern about the down payment, having just spent his savings on the house. Harold reassured him, "We'll figure it out," and offered to adjust the profit percentages, allocating a larger cut towards Alec's ownership stake. By the end of their conversation, Alec had the outline of a deal that would make him the owner of Harold's Motorworks by Christmas. Willow texted again, less friendly. "Seriously, you're just going to ignore me after everything I've done for you, real mature bro?" Alec reviewed her actions, from trash-talking me to my ex-wife, to choosing Celeste's empty promises. He replied vaguely, "Busy with work. Talk later." He had no interest in letting Willow back into my life just because her meal ticket had disappeared. Alec felt immense pride looking around his apartment at the packed boxes, knowing he would soon own his house and business, having achieved it all by myself while the people who were supposed to love me had been betting on my failure. The closing was delayed by a couple of weeks when the seller attempted to back out, but Alec remained confident the contract was airtight. 3 days before his revised moving date, Willow showed up unannounced at his apartment. She looked desperate, with messy hair and wrinkled clothes, exhibiting the look she used to have before asking for money. Alec refused to move from the doorway, asking what she wanted. Willow offered a forced laugh and claimed she made some mistakes, and was sorry for believing Celeste's lies. Alec sarcastically asked where Celeste was now. Willow admitted they weren't hanging out, confirming Celeste was no longer useful to her. Willow noticed the moving boxes, and upon learning Alec had bought a 3-bedroom house, her eyes lit up. She launched into her request. She was being evicted and needed a place to live with her children. She suggested they help each other out, with her and the kids moving in. Alec rejected the request simply. "No." Willow immediately began crying, using the children as leverage. "But the kids, they have nowhere to go, we might end up in a shelter. Is that what you want, your own niece and nephew homeless because you're too selfish to help?" Alec started laughing at the sheer manipulation. He demanded to know where she was when he lost his home and savings and was sleeping on Ethan's, Mike's, couch. Willow tried to prevent him from closing the door, begging that their parents wouldn't help and Celeste was ghosting her. Alec responded with the exact phrase she had once used on him. "That sounds like a you problem." He closed and locked the door. The next day, Alec's phone started blowing up with texts and calls from Willow and his parents. Willow had run to them with a sob story. His mother's voicemail was classic guilt trip material. "I raised you better than this, family helps family. I can't believe you would let your sister and those poor children suffer when you have a whole house to yourself." Alec noted his parents had offered him absolutely nothing to help me when I was the one in crisis. His father's message was worse. "Son, I'm disappointed in you. A man takes care of his family. That's your responsibility as her brother." Then Celeste texted him, claiming she was worried about Willow and the kids, and that Alec's refusal doesn't sound like the man I married. The hypocrisy was stunning. Alec replied, "The man you married no longer exists. You killed him. Do not contact me again." He blocked her number. The family messages became threatening. His mother planned to get involved, and his father mentioned coming over to talk some sense into me. Alec even received a voicemail from Celeste's mother, his former mother-in-law, expressing great disappointment in how he was treating Willow and claiming family comes first. Alec realized they were pulling out all the stops to influence him. Alec took precautions, successfully moving up the closing date. Harold offered him a place to crash, and Ethan, Mike, helped him pack and guard against interference, saying, "They're only coming around now because you're doing well. Where were they when you were sleeping on my couch? Screw them." Alec moved into his new house 48 hours early, informing no one in his family. Alec posted photos of his new place on social media. New chapter, new home. The congratulatory messages were mixed with immediate, angry private messages. His father accused him of flaunting my success while your sister struggles. Willow posted a long dramatic rant on her page about how money changes people. Alec ignored the drama, focusing on the garage where business was booming. 3 days after moving in, his mother called. She accused him of ignoring their calls while living in a big empty house all by yourself, while Willow and the children were about to be homeless. Alec clarified it was a modest 3-bedroom. When he asked why there was no family concern when Celeste was cheating and he lost everything, his mother said, "That was different." When pressed, she stated, "You're a man. Men can take care of themselves. Willow has children." Alec identified this as the double standard that defined their relationship. Alec recounted the 2 years of 80-hour workweeks and night classes he endured to buy the house, without help from anyone, especially not my family. He concluded, "No, Willow can't live with me. She made her choice when she sided with Celeste, and now she can deal with the consequences." When his mother used the children as leverage, Alec retorted, asking why the children weren't moving in with their grandparents, who owned a 4-bedroom house. She admitted, "Your father and I are too old to have children running around. We need our peace and quiet." Alec stated, "Well, I need my peace and quiet too. After the past 2 years I've earned it." The next day, Willow's car was parked in his driveway. She was sitting on his porch with her children and luggage, claiming they had been evicted. Alec confronted her for showing up without asking. She tried to use guilt. "You wouldn't let your own niece and nephew be homeless." Alec refused to relent, telling her to go to their parents. When she realized she was defeated, Willow's true anger surfaced. "You're a real piece of work. Newsflash, you're still the same loser Celeste cheated on. No wonder she couldn't stay faithful. Who would want to be with someone so selfish and cold?" Alec, seeing the real Willow, ordered her off his property, threatening to call the police. A week after Willow's ambush, Alec filed for a no trespass order against her. He also installed security cameras, linked to his phone. Then Celeste showed up late one night, sitting on his front steps. She looked terrible, like life had finally knocked her down. She confessed Bryce left her, she lost her job and apartment, and was living with her mother, who was threatening to kick her out. Alec called it karma. Celeste grabbed his arm, crying, and asked, "I loved you. Don't you ever miss it?" Alec stared at her, smiled, and said, "No," before shutting and locking the door in her face. He felt nothing. 2 days later, his parents arrived unannounced. His mother walked past him into the house, and his father immediately demanded that a good son would help his sister. Alec laughed, pointing out they were absent when he needed help. His mother repeated the double standard. "That was different. You're a man." His father called him selfish and declared, "You're not the son we raised." Alec agreed, "You're right, I'm not the son you raised." He explained that the man they raised would have allowed himself to be betrayed and guilt into giving constantly. Alec demanded they leave his house. His mother warned, "You'll regret this." Alec replied, "Doubt it." He closed and locked the door, realizing he was no longer their son and didn't need to be. Standing in his own home with no one left to drag him down, he realized he had never been freer in my entire life.